Hi everyone, I know many of you had problems with networks and Docker and some other Docker problems. So I want to record a video, hopefully to help you with some of these things. And I want to start with a bit of drawing. So let's say, so we have our host computer. So this is our host computer. And for me, right now, I'm on GCP, so I'm on a remote instance. So this is a similar instance to what I showed you in the setting up the infrastructure video. So this is Ubuntu for me, and on this host we have this Docker Compose YAML file, right? So in this Docker Compose we have two things: we have PG database and PG admin. This will be one container, PG database, and then we have and because we run them in a container in a Docker Compose, they live in the same network. So now I'm not running anything. Do Docker PS, nothing is running. So let me do Docker Compose up -d. So now for the Docker PS, I see now both of these containers, and I can also do Docker network ls to see the networks, and this is the network. So this directory, this is the directory. So it uses the directory name then _default. So this is the network. So let me give it a name. This to Docker SQL default. So this is the network, and within this network they can see each other and communicate with each other. Well, actually, it's pgadmin talks to Postgres, because Postgres doesn't really know to talk to pgadmin. Right. And then in Docker Compose, in Docker as well, so we have this port mapping. So let me also show you the command we do. So this Docker Postgres, right? So this is the port mapping. So we map on the container. We have a port which is 32, sorry. And on pgadmin we also have a port which is port 80, and then we have a bunch of ports on our host machine. And these are all the ports on our host machine. And then let's say we have a port 5432. We have a port 8080. Oops. 8080. And then what happens when we do this? Let me show it here. So we map a port on the host computer, this one, 5432, to a port on a container. So we do port forwarding here. So this is this minus P thing. And now let's say we want to run this PG CLI, right? In PG CLI we say localhost and localhost. This is localhost. So these are ports on our host computer. So then the port will be 5432, and then user root, and then database ny taxi. Password is root, and we can connect to the database and run queries. And now let's imagine that we, on our host computer, already have Postgres running. So we have PG, Postgres, and actually this Postgres already takes this port. So we cannot run anything on that port. So what we can do in this case, we can map forward, do port forwarding to a different port. So we can use, let's say, 5431. So then we will map a port on our host computer, this one for 5431, to a port 5432 on a container. So in Docker Compose, I will need to do something like this. And I click Save. And then I exit this one. And then I do Docker Compose on. And then I do Docker Compose up -d. And now if I do Docker PS, I can see that, so now we map a different port to this one. So this is what we have right now. Which means that if now we want to do pgcli, so we do pgcli, and then we say a host localhost, and then we need to specify a port on our localhost. In this case, this port will be 5431, this one. So if we try, let me try to execute the same command right now. So with the old port, nothing happens because nothing is running there. So we need to change it to this. Now we can connect, and yeah, it works. And now we can also remember that we have this ingestion script that we want to run, and this ingestion script should put some data to our Postgres database, right? So let us see how we can do this in these settings. So let me see how we can run it. So I want to build the image. So I have the script here. This is the same script I wrote in the video. We have the Docker file. This is the same Docker file. So now let me do Docker build. Yeah, so it says it cannot start this this folder. So this is the folder that Docker created with Postgres, and we cannot look what is inside because permission is denied. So for the same reason now Docker, when we do Docker build, it looks at all the folders we have. And yeah, in Visual Studio it also doesn't show. So because right now I'm on Linux, and in Linux permissions are stricter than on Windows. So that's why on Windows I was able to see it, but here I cannot see it. And now let's say if I want to see what is actually inside, I need to do sudo, because the owner of this directory is root, not me. So that's why I cannot just simply look what is inside. And when I run Docker cannot also look what is inside. So for that, to solve this problem and to still be able to build it, let me create a file which I'll call docker ignore. And then what I want to do is I want to just place this file there in docker ignore. Now let me run again. Still doesn't work. Okay, maybe I'll try to do another thing. So I'll create a directory, data, and so now data is owned by me. It is owned by me. And then what I will do is in Docker Compose, I will map the volume /data/ this folder to the same volume on the container. And then docker ignore, I will ignore data folder. Yeah. No. And now I will remove this ny taxi Postgres data. rm -rf. So I use sudo to remove it, because as a simple user I cannot do this. Now I do not have this folder anymore. Now let me run compose apt again. So now we have some data. So again, we created the same folder and data. Look inside. So for that we need to do sudo. So files are there. Now we have git ignore with data inside. Let me do again. What is it? Readme. So now let me do the same thing again. Okay. Yeah, I ran it previously. It's all cached. So we have the script, and yeah, let us run the script in Docker now. So for that, I have in homework, I have the address. I'll copy it. I will modify it right here in this README. So the URL is here. Then the network. Remember, we need to change the network. The network for us is Docker network ls. Place it, and yeah, I want, because I want to run this thing inside the network, so it can access Postgres, right? And then need to change. I think Docker Compose. It is without a hyphen, without a minus. And you might be tempted to change this one as well, because remember we changed this from 5432 to 5431, right? So let me change it, and we will see what happens when we actually do this. Check root pg database. Yeah, I'm running it. Hopefully now it should be fast. Yeah, it is. Downloading is fast. And now you see it says that nothing is found on that host. So why is that? So the reason is that inside the network, so this thing runs inside the network. So we are here inside this network, and ingestion script goes directly to the container. It doesn't go first to localhost. It goes directly to the container. So that's why on the container we need to use this port. So we can just forget about mapping at all. Mapping that we did from local from our host computer to a container, we can pretend it never happened, because yeah, here the ingestion script doesn't care about that. So change it back to the original port and rerun it again. I'm running it. So it downloads the file, and now, yeah, it hasn't complained. So let me connect to this. So I will connect to this. Yeah, so pretend you don't see, you haven't seen this. So this is for my sort of dry run for this recording. So now we are connecting to this port. So password, open to key, and select count 1 from. Already have 300,000. So on the host computer, remember, let me do this one more time. On the host computer, we use the port here that we mapped. So we use this one, but within the network, we use the original one. Here I connect using this port. And then, yeah, I interact with the database here. But the ingestion script, it lives within the network. So that's why it doesn't care about mapping that we did. And in fact, if we removed this thing here completely, the ingestion script will still be able to access this port. Within the network, all the ports that are available on this container in this image, it's actually, we say, exposed on this image. So within the network, they are all available. So we don't need to do any mapping here. So this mapping is done only for testing things locally. Yeah, it's inserting things. That's actually all I wanted to show you. So here we talked about this port mapping and why within the network you need to use the regional port. So that's all I have, and I hope it was useful. See you soon.